we're not done yet. I was just talking about the awesomeness that is the 6-inch Cheetara figure. Let me show you what actually did land in the stores where I live. It's the 4-inch Cheetara figure. Actually, let's see, bring off for size comparison real quick. The 4-inch Cheetara figure is really nice on sculpt for a 4-inch. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna give credit where it's due. But she is a major disappointment in articulation and accessories. Her accessory is a bow staff, but this is not her bow staff. I made this one out of toothpicks and gold paint because the staff that she came with was like somebody just gave you a straightened rubber band. It was pathetic. It had no ability to hold its own shape whatsoever. It was just a pathetic rubbery piece of crap. And Cheetara suffers from inarticulation. She has no head and no torso movement. You can see the magnet on her back that will allow her to sit in a thunder tank. You can see she still has those black pins. She has universal shoulders, although they don't go out as far because this time the clothes on her shoulder are actually part of the moving part of the sculpt. Where on the 6-inch figure, this part doesn't move. The arm moves under it and actually has more clearance to move in any direction. She has a bicep swivel, which is something that the 6-inch Cheetara could have used. Unfortunately, she has no wrist movement, meaning that two-handed poses with her staff are extremely hard to do. Even with the bicep swivel helping you, it's very hard to get her to hold a staff two-handed and make it look really good because her wrists don't move, so it's hard to get them to line up. Like I said, there's no torso movement. She has no ankle movement either. Her knees go 90 degrees. She still has a thigh swivel, which is nice. It's her hips. She has the infamous V-cut hips. You know, the ones where when you bring them up they go out. But they tried to compensate for that by giving her a second thigh cut. This is independent of her thigh swivel and of her hip swivel. It's like this second cut that you're supposed to be able to spin around and now her leg goes forward. It looks extremely awkward the way her leg seems to have a second bend in it. Plus, you know, like, it's impossible to do this on the fly. You have to like really fiddle with it to make it go forward. This is just so that she can get into a seating position enough to sit in the thunder tank or one of the thunder cycles or something like that. And it's really awkward to do, and it doesn't look that good for just doing poses. Not to mention the lack of ankle articulation means putting her in a meaningful running pose is extremely difficult to do because she won't stand in any kind of meaningful running pose unless you do a very careful balancing act. Really disappointed that my favorite character would get this. I mean, Wily Kit and Wily Cat got even worse screwed on the articulation. I think all they had was swinging arms, but at least they had the excuse of being half this figure's size. I mean, let's take a look at, and there's what I'm saying again. Once you get the leg up like that, it's a pain in the butt to get it spun back the right direction. It really, like, let's take a look at another figure from the 4-inch line, just for the sake of comparison. This is the 4-inch Lion-O figure, and sculpt-wise, he's on. The one thing that I said the 4-inch Cheetara had was sculpt. The 4-inch Cheetara had sculpt, but check out the articulation of Lion-O here. Okay, first let's get his... He has a lot more accessories too. He has a really nice claw sheath with the small version of the Sword of Omens, which you can remove. Very nice. Although they didn't paint the little cat's eye in the middle, but I still accept it. Then he has the bigger version of the Sword of Omens, which is also kind of lacking in paint, but it's still nicely sculpted. Still kind of a noodle, but nowhere near as much of a noodle as Cheetara's staff was. And when you get Lion-O down to just the figure itself, it's actually a really nice figure. He has a ball jointed neck, which allows him to have some pretty expressive poses with his head. Universal shoulders, always a pleasure. No bicep swivel, but he does have a wrist swivel, which is cleverly hidden in the sculpt of his arm fur. That's really nice. This shoulder pad here, it does nothing to get in the way because it's not attached on the back, so it can flex out of the way. And the plastic is just malleable enough that the arm can move and it'll bend out of the way without breaking. Same for his hip skirts. They are just flexible enough that they don't impede the legs, and the legs are universal joints. Why couldn't Cheetara have these universal leg joints? Only Lion-O and Tigra and the 4-inch Mumra have them? And Panthro? Was there a 4-inch Panthro? I don't even remember seeing a 4-inch Panthro. The line got cancelled that fast. He has a knee and he has ankle movement. I mean, they only move up and down and not in and out, but this would have been really useful for posing Cheetara. Again, I don't understand why Cheetara got the short end of the stick on articulation on the 4-inch scale, because the engineering to do so is clearly right here. And oh yes, he also has a waist joint. It's just unfair.